Okay, howdy, guys. How you going? Sorry about that. I didn't mean to overpower the sound uh, just there. That was totally in error. But welcome aboard. Um, got uh, my cam back on the steering wheel. I haven't got my HD camera back on me yet because, well, let's have a look and see if we can get it to work. Plugged in. Yeah. Let's go to HD camera. Look at that. It's working. Right there. And go filters. That's that's probably just a little too much. Let's go. Righto. There we go. We've got balance the size. Okay. G'day everybody. Um, so what I'm going to do is cheers guys, how you going? I'm going to turn on the I think that's the one that shows. Yes, it is. So, right. That link is currently the right link for my Discord. It's supposed to not change. I don't know why it's changed. Anyway, so I'm here. I just had a bit of a sleep. And my load, it's a log loader. And I'm in, yes, I am in 158. I have about 7 mods running, some of which are mine, some of them are Steam mods, some of them third-party mods that still work within 1.5. Obviously, I don't have any I don't have any maps running in ATS at the moment, or Yara, because Yara is classified as a dead app. Once you get to 158, it's no longer supported. Shame. There are a couple of things that I really like out of the Yara. That is one of the things, the big one that I like, is that it has a really good way of notifying you of the fact that you're overspeed. Really like that. If there was one thing that I think would be a great takeaway from the mod, if nothing else can work, is the ability to have the overspeed warning, maybe turn it into like a device that sits up on the top of your screen, exactly the same as the way that the Yara sits on the top of the screen. But all it is like the face panel of a radar detector, for instance. And it's got green light up there for a while to indicate our green light indicates that everything's good. And then when you go over speed, it has a flashing red light to say you're over speed. And if you can, the sound of a radar detector going off until you get below the speed limit. That would be pretty cool. Because as you can see down there on my Truckee app, the overlay for my Truckee app down there, it shows everything else you need. Because I do run the Truckee. So, to me, the rest of Yara doesn't really matter. It's that one little tiny thing that I really like. And yeah, I've got to focus on. Got 3 fines already in this trip. I've done 835 miles in the trip. And I did catch 3 fines. One of them was $1,800. I was over 15 over. I was sitting on 75 and it dropped down to a 60 zone. And I had a copper right beside me and I totally missed the speed change. It's just a learning curve I've got to get through. I think once I start taking note of the different speed zones and that sort of thing, I'll be right. You can see with the shifter in the screen there, I do have a proper gear shift, so split up and everything. So I've got my 6 with 3-way splitter, so I've got the high-low range in the front. I also have this side here, there is a split up. I'm from Australia, so I'm used to changing gears now. My left hand, so left hand, right hand on the side. ATS, like the gear levers down there somewhere. Just there. There. But I think it's a one-out shift for this particular truck, or it's just a, it's that one. There's a car seat on top of it. But, so, yeah. As I say, so long as I pay attention to speed signs, whatnot, I think I'm to go, and it's a case of getting into the habit of paying attention to the speed signs. But it doesn't hurt. I mean, I've become, I guess, reliant on Yara to flash a big flashing red light when I go over speed, when speed drops. And that's when it's important. Because I also run hardcore, being over speed, I believe that if you're more than speed for more than 10% of your run, which I've still got 1,350 miles to go, wasn't over speed for anywhere near 10% of what I've even done. But if I was, I have the ability to lose massive points to my VTC. And I mean, like 27,000 points or something like that in hardcore points, which can have a devastating effect on who's on the leaderboard. And I just not do that to my VTC. So I'm part of the Bargies VTC. And I never used to be part of the VTC. Never thought there was a point behind it. But
we have some bears here.
Saying that, becoming a member of VTC and having the Truckee app made a difference, because recently, I think probably 6 or 7 months ago, they dropped there was a component of the Truckee app that I didn't like, and it was something to do with cheat. Some anti-cheat code, and the company behind the anti-cheat code, I think it was Overwolf, the company behind that was selling the data from people that registered for Overwolf, and it was selling that data for money. And it was just like a leech. I mean, I don't think it ever did anything. Didn't stop people cheating in trucking, the same as it doesn't stop people from cheating right now. But the guys from trucking are working to solve that issue with people, just being really cheating themselves. That they think that they're better than what they are because they come up and says, "Oh, your VTC's number one," and it's only because you've got people that are not doing the right thing and following the guidelines or the rules, which is the same rules that real truck drivers follow in the US. When I was part of the VTC environment, I used whatever trailer I liked. Matter of fact, I like pulling, B doubles, road trains, quads, triples. I enjoy it because it's what gets done here in Australia. Quite often you'll see, not in town, but out the, as you guys call it, the outback. It's all country, regional areas. You'll see road trains, mostly going across the red centre, and pretty much anywhere in Northern Territory you'll see quads driving down the road. Even you know, like 10 miles out or 10 kilometres out of itself, you'll see quads running around. And to the point that we were using quad trailers when I was doing a job at the Air Force Base in Darwin, which is also the International Air Force Airport, where we were using quads to do cart and gravel and bits and pieces, you know, stuff we needed when we did an upgrade there. And that's like, 5 kilometres from the CBD, from Darwin Central. So, you know, it's Northern Territory, it's the norm. Western Australia, it's not so much. The norm, you don't see it in around Perth or in the suburbs, but when you get to the outer areas, you know, like into the industrial zones and so forth, you do see quads and triples running around. Quite regularly see triples running around in places, but it's not that. That was lucky.
We got a four-wheeler hitting the jackpot here.
Use touchless shifting. Try to gears. Check up. Okay. Okay. I don't know what they've done to the maps. The maps that are not as clear as they used to be. I think because they've shortened the necks of the roads driving off or something. Oi! Jeez. Right.
Hands up, this saw a bear.
Yeah, started slow yesterday, got quite a few miles up
I see
the
a
hill.
bear rolling discos. Let's back it down.
And then I decided I was going to something today. So might come back to it then. But it'll be another strain. So I'll probably go for maybe an hour. Maybe I'll get down to 1,000 miles to go. So do another 200 miles. Then I'll go and have dinner. I'll go until the next rest stop. So this I'll go for another half hour. It's 29 minutes before I literally 29 minutes of real time. Sleep, rest my driver. So, at about 5 minutes to go, start looking for some of the diplomo package.
We have some bears here.
And some of the observant watch my screen from time to time will notice that I'm not using the you call this a pro clip or my wired pro clip because the bracket for the wired clip is broken and the wireless one, I've lost the charger for it. That's why I went back to the wired one because well I've got a wire on there for my microphone instead. Which if I'm lucky maybe for Christmas or my birthday or Father's Day or something like that, somebody will buy me a new headset, maybe a cordless headset so I can make use of the cordless pro clip. Not, because recently Windows, Microsoft in their infinite wisdom no longer support the drivers for my Sennheiser DAC, the digital to analog converter that works with this headset and the headset that I'm wearing. And consequently, I'm running sound out of my speakers, my desktop speakers for the game, because the sound that comes into my headset, even though these are Sennheiser 650 headphones, they're very good headphones. Really, honestly, can't complain about them. They're extremely good. When the DAC was working, they had 7.1. Yeah, it was a version 7.1, but they're not 7 speakers or 7 speakers or 7.1 speakers between these. But there's a bass, there's a mid-range and a tweeter on each ear. So that's 6 speakers. And for the forward, that just makes up 2 speakers, really makes stereo. But they simulated surround sound by using some very clever shit that made you feel like you were listening to, if you're basically saying in the system, you were listening to the speakers in the front. It sounded like you were listening to speakers in the front. If they were, mid speakers, it seemed like it was mid. And if you were getting sound coming from behind you, it really sounded like the sound was coming from behind you. Extremely clever coding they did to make it all work. And when the unit first came out on the market, it had its own drivers that you downloaded from their website. Well, those drivers aren't on their website. In fact, that website doesn't exist anymore, even though you can call to it. Then they updated firmware in the DAC and the firmware in the headset, these things to work with Windows inbuilt media drivers. That was great. Well, Microsoft decided they were going to continue to have the drivers in their system. But since they've been dumping stuff hand over fist. Because, yeah, admittedly, but probably 2008 that I bought these headset, and that maybe a little bit later. That might have been 2012 or something like that. So yeah, they're old. They're extremely good quality, and I bought extra ear pads so that when the ear pads wore out, that I would have replacements. As it is, this is the second set of ear pads that are on I've got on here, and it's sad. That they've decided you don't want to support that anymore, so yeah, they're not. It's not supported. Screwed that up, didn't I? It's supposed to be in fifth. Yeah, just split the wrong one. Go to 5 low. Instead, I went down to the low box. Screwed up. Anyway. Another 20 odd minutes, and I'll go for sleep coaching. Do sometimes not do that because the chances of being pinged and through a red light because you did something not 100% correct, or this state doesn't support going around or turning right on red. You could get unstuck with it very easily. So I tend not to do it, but I'm pretty sure where I am, I can actually do it. Farm to now, tube is part of. Stay farm. Recently I went on a road trip. My face isn't as red as what you're seeing. That's a reflection of the RGB speakers instead because they're actually red. But my face is red. But like I say, I went on a bit of a road trip down from my place to Tamworth to visit my aunt. And that's about 700 odd kilometres from me. And consequently, I used to go to those neck sock things that you can get for fishing. Usually have one of those on when I'm doing long trips. I had my sunnies on, and the glass, my sunnies consequently reflected a lot of sunlight onto my face, especially onto my nose. And my nose and my cheeks are red raw, and the majority of the sun came in on the left side of my nose. Feels like so badly sunburned that I can feel like little blisters all over the place, and it's really sore. And consequently, very painful. Should get just enough to be able to see right side. Like let's see. That's the Truckee app overlay. Moves where you get that Discord link to somewhere else. Let's see. Just slip across and unlock the Discord link. Put that. That's right. Where the light can change. Yeah, you can see all of the details there on the Yara. People can see it anyway. What's there? So, anyway, if you see me touching my nose, I'm not doing anything untoward, I'm just squeaking it to change the pressure. I think the pressure builds up in the blisters, anyway. Pressure builds up there and it starts hurting, but by squeezing it or putting pressure, it stops it from hurting. Or I get a bit of relief from pain from it. Yeah. Well, over there, you don't actually have to stop. If you go slow enough, it works. In 157, you could get away with it. You didn't have to go as slow as what you do in 158. Sorry, bud. My road. So yeah, you didn't have to go as slow. I think because the dialogue boxes were a little bit more responsive, as our games use that term as responsive. So notice that it went straight back to the line truck. It's because I have a 5-second delay on resetting. Spin it around and just keep like that, and then pop it back there eventually without to actually spin it around to the right. And this one, I would like to try. I prefer to actually drive inside the truck. Magic powers like that. It's really cool shot coming down there. Not the one I wanted. So that'll do it. I'll use that. Next stop.
Heads up, got bears.
So, I recently cancelled my premium subscription. So I don't know how this is actually getting up to my YouTube channel, whether it's going up there in 4K, whatever it is that I set it up to, whether it's getting done like a dinky low res because I don't know. Yep. Either way, I'm not going to be shooting premium subscription for the time being because I don't have enough followers to get monetized. I don't have likes and subscribers to be monetized or to pay for my YouTube. I haven't gone out there and tried to cover the costs of my YouTube sort of just I stream when I feel like I stream what I feel like I stream as much as I like. I don't do, you know, high quality, high focused content. But I don't really pursue any of that. Quite happy just doing the own thing. People watch, they watch if they know they. Still going to do it. It's not going to change anything. It's not going to change whether I do the streams or anything. It'd be nice to not pay. It'd be nice to have income. Like that. Pursued that years ago when I first started the channel. Instead of worrying about it, the channel. Fresh. I've been around too many years now. Some followers, some subscribers, probably 40, something like that. They're not super active. Not people see the stream I do. But that like what you're seeing. It's sort of just like Targs playing a game. That's probably not super interesting. But this is where I'm going to park up for the night for a while. No. Because I'm going to go and do my dinner. So I don't need fuel, I just need to find a spot to park up. Which anywhere here I think will cover the cost of parking. And there we go. Park here. Park there. Right. So as you can see, I can pull up anywhere, I don't care. And then let's get that rest done before I pack up. Okay, so now that it's raining,
Got bears ahead of you there, driver. Better slow her down.
Copy the mail.
get back in the cab. Because it's raining. Okay, catch you later, guys. I'll be back in a while to continue the stream. And see you later.